Candela, hypnotherapist, transformation coach, and a spiritual teacher. You're about to listen to a recording of one of my regression sessions. If you enjoyed the content on my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you click on the bell, it will inform you of any of my future postings. Also, leave a comment and click like, because that helps to bring this kind of content to more viewers. I hope you enjoy the recording, and I hope to see you again in my future videos.
And I'd like you to tell me the very first thing that you see as you reach the surface.
It's noisy, busy.
Notice what's around you and describe it to me.
It's like outside, courtyard, but I know it's a city, a lot going on. Somebody cooking on an open fire outside in a big pot, like a wok. It's Chinatown, and I don't know why I know that, but I do.
Okay. So I'd like you to look down at your feet and tell me what you're wearing on your feet.
They look kind of like cloth, like black slippers with a piece of material going across. Toes are covered, but you can see the tops of my feet.
Now become aware of your body and tell me what you're wearing on your body.
Something that goes down to like my shins. This jackety thing. And it's red with gold. And it has buttons that go up from about waist, maybe chest high, like these cloth buttons with loops. And then there's pants underneath that. They're kind of like whitish, off-white.
Are you in a male or female body?
Male.
Young or old?
Middle age. It's very youthful energy, but I think he's 50.
Are you healthy?
Yes. I'm not happy, but I'm healthy.
So tell me why you're not happy.
I think life has been a lot of work and duty, and people see me as successful. I have nice clothes on, but my life hasn't been my own.
Tell me about your life. What do you do during the day?
Buying and selling things.
What is it that you buy and sell?
Fabric. And also other things. There's a lot of going down to the boats and getting things.
Do you work for someone, or is it your own business?
It was my father's.
Is your father still alive?
No.
Whose business is it now?
Mine and my uncle's.
Do you work with your uncle?
Technically, yes. He's very opinionated, but he doesn't really do much. I'm the one who does things.
What is your business exactly?
Weird. I think we smuggle people.
From where to where?
From China to the United States.
For what purpose?
I choose not to think about that.
What happens to the people once they are in the United States?
Sometimes they pay or somebody pays for them to get here. We also sell a lot of fabric and it seems like medicines. We do that too, but there's people that come. Some people come and get them. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes there are some nefarious type of people who have promised people work, and I know they're just getting slavery. Some people work in the restaurants, work off their travel for several years. Some people are just sold to other people.
So some people come voluntarily or
Yes,
voluntarily?
and some people are just tricked into coming. They pay and they think they're going to be here working, and that's not good for the women.
So your part in it is merely just providing transportation for payment?
It's easy for me because we do these other import and export things. I work in an office full of bolts of fabric and bottles of herbs and Chinese medicine.
Now, you said before that your life is not your own. Tell me what that means for you.
Well, I'm the oldest son, and my duty has always been to my father to do his work, to keep the business going for the family, to support all the family, and I've been working in the shop and in the business since I was small. It was always going to be me taking over this from my father. So I didn't get to love who I wanted to love, and I have lived in this neighborhood my whole life. I haven't really traveled very far.
Where were you born?
Here.
Do you have your own family?
Yes.
Tell me about your family.
I have a wife, but she doesn't live with me. I mean, for appearance's sake, we have a house, but I live here at the office. My children don't live in the city anymore.
Where are they now?
I have a son and 2 daughters. They're all in New York.
How is your relationship with them?
It's okay, they're respectful. They know I've given them a good life, and I said them I didn't require them to stay here. My wife is bitter about that.
Why?
Her children aren't with her. Lots of families just stay in the same neighborhood.
Did she want you to force the children to stay there?
She would have liked me to tell them no. My son went first. He's actually the youngest, but he went first. And he let his sisters know there was a life to be had there.
What will happen to your business once you get old and can't manage it anymore, since your children all left?
Well, this is of great concern to my uncle, but I don't really care. My wife, will be provided for, and his sons will fight over it. His sons are stupid.
Are they involved in the business?
They have titles, but they don't really do anything.
How do you feel about your business and what you do?
I've resigned myself to the fact that it's bigger than me. For many people, it's a service. For many people, it's a disservice. And those would be here even if I wasn't. I feel good about providing for my family. I feel good about being the son my father wanted me to be. The woman I'm in love with lives a few miles away, and I haven't seen her in years.
Tell me about her.
She's very smart, and she's funny, strong. She's got light in her eyes.
How did you meet her?
I just saw her on the street. I know all the shopkeepers. I walk down the street past the same people all the time. I didn't know her, and she was interesting looking. She was going into a shop with somebody else, with another woman, an older woman. And I just went into the shop too. We sell these herbs and medicines and stuff, but there's a proper doctor, Chinese medicine doctor, and they went into his shop.
How old were you at that time?
25.
Were you married?
Yes.
What happened after you saw her?
I found a way to be useful to them. It wasn't her mother, it was some older auntie. I don't know if it was a true aunt or an older woman from the neighborhood. I had found a way to be useful to her. She was looking for something from the Chinese doctor. And so I struck up a conversation with her and told her I had something that might interest her, and I gave it to her. I went back to my place and I gave it to her, and having that conversation with her allowed me to talk to the younger woman.
Did you have a relationship with her?
Nothing inappropriate.
So what was the nature of your interactions with her?
I found out where they were from.
Where was she from?
She was just a few neighborhoods away.
Did you have any interactions with her after that?
Yes, I found reasons to be in her neighborhood, and can't quite see how I got to see her. She didn't work in a shop. Maybe she was a teacher. I got to run into her, which is unusual because this was a time when women just didn't hang out on the street by themselves. And there was some mother figure who was a little bit interested in me taking interest in her daughter because I was from a wealthy family and men like me could take a lover, mistress, if you kept her kind of. And her family would have welcomed that kind of income.
What was the young woman's reaction to you?
She loved me too.
So, were there any options available for you?
No, she would never. She didn't want that arrangement. She wanted a family and legitimate children, and like I said, she was kind of very smart, and she just wouldn't be happy in that situation. My father also got wind of the situation. It would have been fine if I didn't care about her, but he knew that I did. I was pretty distracted wandering over there a lot.
Did he do anything to stop it?
Yeah, he reminded me of my responsibilities to the job and to him. Obviously, to my wife. I had one daughter at the time. It's a marriage he arranged. His perspective was more like he didn't want me to embarrass myself or him. Like I said, I've had lovers since on the side. He didn't care about the men do that. But he could tell I was in love. I mean, I never felt that before, so it was shocking, and I'm sure my behavior was weird.
How did you end it, or what did you do to end it?
I would have been still willing to find ways to see her, have tea with her and her auntie, or walk down her street. I was making him angry, and I would have been willing to sort of do that anyway, a little bit better, be sneakier. But she didn't. She thought there was a possibility for her to get married, and she asked me to stop coming around. So I did.
So how long were you together, in a way?
A year.
Okay. And so you haven't interacted since then?
No, I've seen her auntie, but...
Did she get married?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if she's happy?
I don't know. I'm hoping she is. She seemed somebody who might insist on contentment anyway.
I've become aware of why your father arranged this particular marriage for you.
Kind of to legitimize us. We're wealthy, they're wealthy and have status. We have more wealth than they do, and they have more legitimacy and cultural status. My father was very keen to get that status and legitimacy. And so, with that marriage, it worked out very well.
Was that relationship satisfactory in any way?
We are friendly. We're both sort of no stranger to family duty. And so we don't resent one another. We just don't have much in common. And as soon as we had children, I kind of left her alone. I don't mean left her. I just didn't bother her for my sexual needs, and I let her run her household. And I did all the patriarchal stuff I was supposed to do.
I'd like you to see yourself in your office and you will see probably documents on your desk. I'd like you to pick one of them up and tell me what the date is of the latest shipment, perhaps, that you have received.
1926, October.
So I'd like you now, on the count of 3, to move to the next significant event in that lifetime. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what happens.
We're eating. A bunch of us, lots of us. It's a holiday. I'm laughing to myself because, first of all, I love where we're eating. It's a restaurant, but it's outside. The kitchen's in the place, but all the tables are outside. 2 long tables. And I'm at the head, of course, and I'm laughing to myself. I'm not sharing this with anyone. I'm looking at everybody and I'm thinking, the head of the family gets to decide the menu, and I'm having my favorite stuff, and I got to decide when we eat, and where, and what, and who sits next to me, and who doesn't. But I pay. Thinking about that.
So is it your family that you're having this meal with?
In my wife's family, and then other business people that it makes sense to invite to this and honor them, and people we do business with. So there's 40 people here. It's a holiday, and one of the days of the holiday is where you bring your extended family together and associates. Would give gifts or money, and I like to throw a big dinner. I like to eat. And my father would think this is kind of showy and too expensive. But there aren't that many things that I get to do that I want to do, and so I'm doing this.
So how is the dinner going?
It's going well. My children are here. My wife's family's here. She's happy. The mood is good. The food's delicious. And I'm all alone.
What do you mean you're all alone?
I'm just apart, separate.
Why is that?
I'm enjoying it, and I like seeing people enjoy themselves. But it's like it's not my real life, or it's not an expression of my authentic self, this life.
Does anything important happen as the event progresses?
No, I think it's just this moment. It's a happy moment. There are lots of unhappy moments. It's significant because I realize this is a really happy moment, and it's not good enough. Or it's as good as it's going to get, and that makes me feel separate, disconnected.
So on the count of 3, I'd like you to travel to one of those unhappy moments that you say there are a lot of them in your life. Just find one of them and become aware of what it is, 1, 2, and 3, and tell me what you're experiencing.
My wife lost our first child very late in the pregnancy, and of course we grieved, and it was very difficult for my wife. And also in our community there's this idea of luck. So in addition to our grieving, we knew we were being judged for having bad luck.
What was the reason for her losing the child this late?
Nobody knows. She just went into labor a month early, and our baby was dead.
So as you allow those images to float away, I'd like you to travel now to the very last day in that life. Tell me what you're experiencing.
I'm sitting in bed, on the side of the bed, and my feet are on the floor.
Are you feeling okay?
No, I've been sick for a while. I'm not supposed to get out of bed.
Are you trying to get out of bed?
Yeah, I want to go look out the window. I think I'm trying to die, but I'm impatient. It's taking so long.
So tell me about your illness. What were your symptoms?
My lungs aren't working. I've had on and off issues, but this is obviously the last time.
What were the issues that you've had?
It didn't show up when I was younger, but later in life. I had consumption, I think, and I never fully recovered. So that's been on and off for about 10 years. I'm in my 70s.
Okay. So when you're trying to get out of bed and go to the window, is there anyone else with you?
No, there's people in the house. There's a lot of activity actually in the house because I'm dying, and there are people in the house who are grieving, and there are people in the house who I know are trying to vie for the head of the business. And my daughter's here. I think the sons are on the way. But since no one's in the room, I'm trying to get up so I can, because I want to look out the window, and if people were in the room, they would not want me to do that. I'm trying to get the courage because I'm pretty weak.
Is your wife still around?
No.
So what happens next?
I make it to the window. It's really hard to breathe. I really like seeing the courtyard and the open fires, cooking in the open fires. When I see a young boy making food, I think about how he'll probably be cooking in that fire. And then I fall.
Is that when your spirit leaves the body?
Yes.
So as your spirit lifts out of your body, tell me the first thing that comes to you as you reflect back on the life you just left.
There was a lot of pleasure in the life, in being in the body. The narrative of that guy is that he wasn't living his own life, but within that life there was still pleasure.
Is that a positive thing?
Yes, I mean, now that I'm out, which is way better, I'm seeing that his idea of his life not being his own, which was true, but he sometimes missed the pleasures. Things that were going well, the beautiful day, the flowers, and the seasonal vegetables, and some of that stuff he forgot to pay attention to.
I'd like you to become aware of what the purpose was that was set for that lifetime by your soul.
I'm arguing with it a little bit, but it seems like exploring a life with a lot of boundaries, both personal and geographical. That life was lived in a few square miles, mostly, and in a community where everybody knew each other, so there was no real privacy, and there was not much of self beyond the family and the community. There was no self separate from that. So I think it was exploring that. He was never going anywhere outside of the roles that he was given to play. It's interesting to fall in love because that really solidified how much his life was not his own. And so he developed this narrative about how his life isn't his own. So he had those imposed on him, but then he kind of made this story for himself too. He just put all these experiences into the story that his life wasn't his. That was a scenario. A life that was very confined to one place.
And so was that experience successful?
Yes. I'm not feeling like there was a goal more than just
to experience it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you said earlier that you were kind of fighting with the purpose. What were you experiencing?
The conflict is in my judging that it was play. It seems like it was curiosity. Let's explore how this might turn out. And it doesn't seem like a good enough reason.
So I'd like you now to feel all the trauma as you let go the knowledge, the memories, experiences of that wisdom. You begin to feel yourself, your energy floating, continuing to travel, begins to cleanse you, down, letting go, let go to the surface. I'd like you to tell me the first thing you see or the first impression that you get as you reach the surface.
Tonight, lots of stars in the sky. I'm in a field, there's stone walls, like about 3 foot high all around. Various fields.
What's in those fields?
I am picking wild herbs and plants.
And it's nighttime?
It feels like a little bit secret.
So I'd like you to look down at your feet and tell me what you're wearing on your feet.
I'm barefoot. It's a little chilly, but I'm barefoot.
And what are you wearing on your body?
Dress, shift, kinda, and a wool kinda capey thing. It's a really light dress, but the wool thing's keeping me warm.
Is it like a cape or a shawl?
Yeah, like a shawl.
Are you in a female body?
Yes.
Young or old?
I'm young, late teens, early 20s.
Are you healthy?
Yes.
So become aware of why it's somewhat secret what you're doing, why you're picking herbs in the middle of the night.
I'm apprenticing with a healer. I'm trying to figure out why it's a secret, because it's a woman. If there's some reason we're keeping it a secret.
So for now, just become aware of what you're collecting.
First thing that came to my mind is wormwood. It's not a secret that I'm apprenticing, it's a secret what I'm picking.
What do you make with it?
Well, you can make a hallucinogen with it, but you can also kill somebody with it.
Why are you collecting it now?
She wants me to. She believes that certain plants are more potent at various phases of the moon. And so this is the time for this. I don't think there's a specific purpose. She wants things to be picked at a time that they're ready to be picked. But it might seem unsavory to be seen being picking poisonous plants. We don't want to be blamed for anybody dying prematurely.
Okay. So become aware of whether you live somewhere close in the area or far away.
I live close.
So on the count of 3, I'd like you to see yourself standing in front of a place where you live. 1, 2, and 3. Describe to me what you see.
There's a wooden door, stone house. It's not terribly big. I live there with other people. I think it's my parents. There's some younger children there too, my siblings. There's a straw on the roof. There's a chimney.
So as you go inside the house, tell me what you see there.
There's a pretty big fireplace. We cook on it too. Obviously it heats the house. Sometimes when it's really cold we bring the pig inside. We usually have a pig every year. But it's not cold like that, no.
How big is the house?
It's all kind of one room, and then I could see the 2 doors where they're sleeping. My parents and the 2 younger children sleep in one room. I have a brother who's already gone out of the house.
How do you feel about your family?
Good. I'm a little restless. Girls my age are getting married. I don't really want that. And at some point, there'll be more conversations about that.
So you don't want to get married?
I don't want to get married right now. I am apprenticing this herbalist, and that's what I want to do. And getting married would get in the way of that.
How long will your apprenticeship take?
5 years.
Okay. So on the count of 3, I'd like you to see yourself having a meal. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what you're experiencing.
Root vegetables, cabbage kind of cooked in water. There's a piece of pork in the water, in the pot.
Where are you eating it?
We're eating at the table. It's in front of the fireplace when we eat, and then we move it. They use for kitchen prep and other things.
And who's at the table?
Us kids and my dad. My mom never really sits down to eat with us.
Why?
Holidays or feast days or important days, she'll sit. But regular days, she's just too busy. Everybody sits down to eat and she kind of waits on us, and then she's also cleaning up, so she eats before or after. It's just a practical decision. It's not like we're spending a lot of time at the table anyway.
So what does everybody do during the day?
My father works on a farm. It's not his. In fact, we don't own the house. It's part of the payment for working there. And Mom helps with some of that stuff and take care of livestock. That's not ours too. And then there's the garden. That's our food. So there's lots of work to do with that. The well is shared with other families. There's a lot of carrying water, going back and forth to the well, and taking care of babies. So I'm allowed to do this apprenticeship, but not at the cost of me doing my chores.
What are your chores?
I help in the garden, meal prep, watching the 2 younger kids. A lot of going back and forth to the well, chickens.
So I'd like you to see yourself walking to the well or from the well, and you see other people around you. Describe to me how they're dressed.
Men wear wool pants and suspenders. These are all made by the women. And men wear long sleeve shirts. The women wear dresses. But as a matter of practicality, it's sort of common to see women wearing pants under their dresses who are working. Because pants are a lot more practical for all the stuff you have to do, but it's not modest enough. Working on the farm and doing all that physical work, it's just easier if you have pants on. Both for modesty's sake and just because be warm. And we'd never do that at any kind of festival or something, but it's just practical. We wear pants a lot, but with a dress over it.
What do dresses look like?
They're simple, long sleeve, go up to the neck, very unadorned, not quite ankle length, a little bit above the ankle. Women don't have long hair. It's reddish brown.
On the count of 3, you're going to see yourself in your apprenticeship. 1, 2, and 3. And describe to me what happens there.
The rafters in her place are full of dried plants hanging upside down. And her work table's outside. She works outside a lot, even when it's cold. But she's got some mortar and pestle, a few of them.
Why does she work outside?
She feels a very strong connection to nature. And she kind of stay in touch with the vibe, what the wind's saying, and she talks to the elements and sometimes knows what's going to be needed medicine-wise. When she's making something, the plant's going to tell her how much of each thing to make, how much to put in. I mean, she knows how to make her medicines, but every batch isn't the same. It depends on what the plants say to do, and what the phases of the moon are, and what the wind says. So she stays in touch with everything. She likes to be barefoot, too.
Is she teaching you that?
Yes.
And how does she teach you to develop that skill, to become in tune with that guidance?
To be still and to notice. Just notice my feet on the ground. What does it feel like? hold the plants in my hand. What do they feel like? What are they saying?
So how's that going for you? Are you able to develop that skill?
Yes, it's a little bit intimidating because she's so powerful. And I feel there's a big gap between where she's at and where I'm at. But I've always known I could do this. And I've been talking to trees for a long time. So talking to plants and wind is just a skill I have to develop.
So talking with trees is already something that you're comfortable with?
Mm-hmm.
As you go through that apprenticeship, what other skills do you develop?
Treating wounds and infection, that's a big thing in our community. Sometimes helping deliver babies or calves. That's really somebody else's job, but sometimes if there's an issue, we can help that. There's some divination. She scatters straw and reads it. I don't know that one yet.
What does she use it for?
Usually people come to ask her some things. Marriage or crops or decisions.
Do they pay her?
Mm-hmm. It's always with things. Milk or potatoes or... We don't live very close to the ocean, but she likes seaweed. You need a horse to get to the ocean. And so sometimes people bring her that.
What does she do with seaweed?
She uses it in lots of medicines, but she also likes to eat it for food.
What did you have to do to become her apprentice?
It was kind of known that I had some, they call it like the shine. And I was pretty early on pretty interested in what she was up to anyway. But I think my parents were open to the idea because they thought I had some supernatural sensibilities. I don't know what they would call it. And so they were open to me hanging out with her. But she had to ask my dad formally about the apprenticeship.
Do you compensate her in any way for that?
I think the deal is I do work for her. I gather and I cut plants and picking and washing and sorting and bundling. But I just heard that the arrangement is that I will also look after her when she's older. It doesn't mean I can't have a family. It just means that I'll be like a daughter to her. And interestingly enough, if something goes terribly wrong with her health, but she doesn't die, I've agreed to kill her with something in one of the jars.
Is she anticipating something to go wrong?
No, she's very vital, very healthy. She just doesn't want to go the way she's seen some people go, where they have a health event and then they just linger on forever. Or they can no longer speak or do anything for themselves, but they take a long time to die. And she's said she's not doing that. And I had to agree that in the event something like that happened, I'd have to get the one jar off the shelf and make tea.
What is in that jar?
Hemlock.
What is it usually used for?
Nothing. It's very poisonous. It looks like a wild carrot, but it's not.
So is she keeping it just for herself?
Yes. As far as I know. I've never heard of anyone coming to her for it, and it wouldn't be prudent to do it in the community.
Okay. How big is your community, or how big is the area that she serves?
It's a lot of farmland. I don't think anyone owns any of their own stuff. Sometimes wealthy people come to see her. I think that's one of the reasons she's allowed to do what she does. And also why she has to be careful not to be seen as someone who puts the evil eye on somebody and stuff like that. But there's rural and small stone cottagey things, and then there's a couple big houses with the fancy people in them.
Become aware of what language you speak.
It's interesting because I was thinking we were in Ireland, but we're in France. Seems like Gaelic traditions in France.
All right. So on the count of 3, I'd like you to move to the next significant moment or event in that lifetime. 1, 2, and 3. And tell me what happens.
It's a birth. I'm in the room and somebody's giving birth. Somebody I know. It's my brother's wife.
And what are you doing?
I'm there in case someone needs help, but she doesn't need my help right now.
Are you the midwife?
No, I'm helping the midwife if she needs anything. The interesting thing is that I'm really confident. It's a few years later and I know what I'm doing. I can tell just by the energy in the room how my sister-in-law is doing, like if she's okay and if the pregnancy is going well. And it's almost like I could feel her pulse from across the room. And it's dawning on me at this really weird moment as she's giving birth that I can really tune in a way that's different from the other people in the room. And I've been working on this, but it's just sort of like the penny just dropped that I know stuff that other people don't know. And that feels exciting and useful.
Are you still in your apprenticeship?
Yes, in some ways I'll always be in an apprenticeship with her. I'll take her place when she goes.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we're both working together. She's still in charge. I mean, I'm always learning from her. It's more of a partnership now.
Okay. So as this delivery progresses, anything else happens that requires your attention?
No, people are worried, but it's not going well, but I know it is going to be fine. And it is.
Okay. So just move forward in time to the next important event or moment in that life. And tell me what happens then.
I become aware that I'm pregnant. I just know it. Standing outside and doing something, and the notion pops into my head and I know it's true.
Are you in a relationship with anyone?
Yes, I'm married. There are these festivals that happen every once in a while, supposedly for holidays or whatever, but it's really just because young people need to meet people they're not related to.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a boy. We liked each other. We seemed suited. He's really good with horses, kind of like an intuitive way. So what I do doesn't freak him out, really. I'm really happy to know that I'm pregnant, and I'm also thinking about how I'm going to manage everything.
How old are you at this point?
25.
Where do you live now?
I live near where I grew up.
Do you have your own house?
Yes. Usually you go to one set of parents and live with them. But he's good with horses, so he can have his own place.
Because of the horses or because he makes enough money?
Because he's useful to the rich people who own the land. Because he can train horses and know if a horse is going to be good and stuff like that. I see him making horseshoes too.
So do you build your own house or is a place provided to you?
Yeah, they just gave him something that was there.
Okay. What happens after you find out that you're pregnant?
It's about an hour walk to French, but I think her name's Hildy. She's the first person I want to tell. Because first of all, she'll know that my knowing is real.
How does she react?
She's very happy. She said something like, it's about time. It took them a while to marry me off because I was sort of interested in other things. And I'm the second wife of the husband. The first one died.
How is your relationship with your husband?
Good. He likes being married. Somebody cooks for you and obviously it's sex, but he appreciates my independence. This is unusual, which is one of the reasons I held off getting married. I just got good at making myself useful around my parents' place and everywhere else so I could get away with not getting married. And something about having his first wife die makes him a little bit more grateful. I mean, I guess it wasn't ever going to happen any other way because I've got this thing that I'm passionate about, and I was never going to marry anybody who couldn't deal with that. I'd probably get something in return from things I do outside the house, because it's useful to have your wife be a healer in terms of doing favors for people.
How does your community treat you or think about you?
It was kind of complicated because they need me, but they don't want to think about all the stuff I know that they don't know. So it's sort of a fine line. So I make sure I'm cheerful and hope that not too many people die near me with unknown causes. Because I could feel this thing could go south if I'm not careful.
So what kind of things do you know that they don't know?
How to use the plants, how to heal people. I know what the wind says. I don't necessarily talk to a lot of people, but I know what the wind says.
So tell me about the wind. When it talks, does it talk about someone in particular or more general wisdom?
Usually it's general themes coming, like plant more garlic. Every once in a while you can hear a no or a yes on the breeze.
So you ask it for guidance?
Yeah, I mean, once you tune in, it doesn't shut up. It's very opinionated. Once it knows you can hear it, it's got a lot of opinions. And, useful advice.
What other things does it tell you?
It tells me things from my work. There's infection coming, things like that. There's an infection in the other town.
So now move forward in time to the next significant moment and tell me what you experience.
I'm feeling grief. That's my husband. It's very complicated grief too, because I couldn't save him. He's got a wound.
What happened?
I'm not sure. He's bleeding. He was bleeding.
So we're going to rewind the time and you're going to travel back and become aware of what caused the wound or what caused the bleeding. Tell me what you see.
It's violent. He was stabbed, but not like with a knife, like with a tool. Looks like a chisel. Feels like it's something stupid, senseless.
How did you find out that he's hurt?
A kid from the stable comes to my house.
How old are you at that point?
35.
What'd you do next?
I grabbed some stuff, wound care and straw, and ran. He's breathing really heavily when I get there. I put some stuff in my mouth and I'm chewing it.
Why?
Because saliva's good for wounds. And then I'm putting that against it while I try and figure out what's happening. He's bleeding a lot, and I kind of know he's not going to make it. Like all of a sudden, I realize he's dying and I can't fix it.
And how do you feel in that moment?
Powerless. Why didn't I know in advance this was going to happen? How could it be I can't fix it or prevent it? And I'm angry now, I'm resentful. I've cured this whole fucking town and my husband dies. What's the point? And I'm afraid for my kids.
Why?
Well, we don't have a home anymore. I mean, it won't happen immediately, but they're going to chuck me out for sure.
So what happens then?
I was just talking to him. I tell him I'm here.
Were you able to help him in any way?
Yes, I am able to make him not afraid. I kind of toy with the idea of telling him it's going to be okay. But I find the courage to tell him it's not going to be okay. And he kind of looks at me like, duh. And so I just lay down with him and I talk to him.
How long does it take for him to leave?
A few minutes.
And once his soul leaves the body, are you able to feel him or interact with him in any way?
I feel him leave, but I can't communicate with him. I feel the difference between the intense feelings he was experiencing and then not. But that was just a vibe, not a conversation.
Is the healer that you were apprenticing with still alive?
Yes.
Do you talk to her about this experience?
Yes. In fact, we end up moving in with her.
Does she help you understand why you couldn't tell before that it was coming?
Yes. We do have that conversation. And it takes me a while to get over it. I'm aware I don't want to put any bad vibes in anybody else's stuff, but it's weird to be making medicines for people when my family's experiencing loss. The irony is kind of bitter taste in my mouth.
Do you have any better understanding of why it happened that way?
I think it's like a karma thing. I remember thinking, sins of the father.
It was karmic for him?
Yes, or for his family. It was like a revenge or a feud or something.
So, do you understand why you didn't have a premonition about it?
There are two things. I don't want to know everything about my family, especially stuff you can't fix. And maybe there are things you can have an influence on, and some things are just hardwired into what your experience is going to be.
So I'd like you now to move to the last day in that lifetime and tell me what you're experiencing.
It smells good. It's the fall.
Where are you?
I'm outside Hildy, now my house. I'm at the table, her table.
What are you doing?
I'm preparing powder for myself.
What kind of powder?
Hemlock. This is not a sad or desperate moment. This is very planned. I've had a good, long life. I know my mobility is rapidly declining. I can't live a bedridden life, and I'm ready. I had a good life. I liked this life a lot.
How old are you?
60. That's pretty old for my community.
And you still live in the same house?
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody else living with you there?
No, nearby, but I'm living alone.
Have you been alone since your husband's death?
Yes.
Walk me through the last moments. What happens?
I'm proud of myself because I enjoyed the morning. I made tea. I made some seaweed soup. There was something sweet in the house. I ate that. Smelled the smells, making sure that my heart was in the right place, that I'm feeling good and grateful. And I'm not alone because all the plants and the wind and the sun, so everybody's there. And nobody's telling me no. I'm also preparing because it's probably not going to be super pleasant. I thought about other ways, but I want to at least leave some idea with my loved ones that this wasn't on purpose. They might consider that I did it, but this is more subtle. They might be able to hold the idea that I just died. Natural causes. So that's why I decided to do hemlock. I have a pot of regular tea also, so I can drink the hemlock quickly and then get rid of the evidence and have the other tea in front of me on the table. So anyway, it's painful and it is unpleasant. First, the surprise is, like, it is really painful. The body doesn't like it. And then I'm worried, I'm like, shit, I hope I don't throw up. I don't want to have to do this again. And really, my consciousness pops out on my body before I'm even gone. I'm kind of watching myself fall off the chair in the throes of this thing, but I'm not there anymore.
And as you rise above your body, you may find that someone is there welcoming you back. Let me know if you notice anyone.
For a minute, it looks like my husband, and then it just turns into a pillar of light. And he thinks to me. I just put that persona on against you would feel safe. Or when I'm like you, I'm just this pillar of light.
As you look back at that life, what are your first thoughts and feelings about it?
It was a good life. It was really a life well lived. And very lucky to have apprenticed with that woman, because there's a lot of self-determination in that life that other people didn't get to enjoy in their lives.
The way that you exited that life, did it have any lasting impact? Did it create any limiting beliefs?
I don't think so. It feels like the opposite. It feels powerful. It feels like successfully tuning into inner guidance. Felt like she knew that was an okay decision, and it was.
Now let's drift away from that life, from all of those experiences. And I'd like to ask the higher consciousness of Peg to have a conversation with us. So would you be willing to step forward and answer some of my questions?
Yes.
Thank you. So I know that you could have brought forward many different lifetimes for Peg to review today, but you chose 2 lifetimes, one of a man in Chinatown, San Francisco, and another of a woman healer in France. Can you tell us why you chose those 2 specific lifetimes?
The Chinatown one may help inform her life here. She has low tolerance for limitations being put on her, and some claustrophobia, and requires a lot of freedom. Also validating the many times she has picked up a Chinese artifact or seen cultural iconography and been very resonant with it. And also a nod to the fact that her interest in Chinese medicine is present in this life too. And the other life of the healer in France is because she's dragging her feet in this life on some of the work she wanted to do here.
What work is that?
She has done healing work with people, but she could do more, and not necessarily in a traditional way. She's able to affect people just by being around them and being non-judgmental. Sometimes she's afraid of their suffering, or she rejects suffering.
In what way?
Moral outrage.
She's angry about the existence of suffering.
Mm-hmm. And so she's sensitive, she can be a little overwhelmed. Like she can be very present with people while they're going through something, but later carries it.
Mm-hmm. That life where she lost her husband, does that help her in any way to deal with that now?
I think it helps her understand that she can take counsel from a lot of different resources, like the wind.
It occurred to me that between the 2 lives that you brought forward, there was a common thread about self-determination. In the first life, the consistent thought she had that this life was not her own was about lack of self-determination. And then in the second life, she was able to live a life on her own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And she even left the life on her own terms. So is that a relevant theme for her right now?
Needing a lot of freedom is what's relevant. She needs a lot of freedom, and she'll play with that a little bit more. She's kind of has judged that in herself sometimes, but it's not flighty. She could find some more power in that if she leans into it a little bit. It's very possible to like something one day and not like it the next day. Not living from the past, living from the moment that you're in. And she's exploring that right now. It feels a little bit scary.
So she's working on finding balance between those two, going with the flow of it.
Right.
So the life where she was the healer, she developed a lot of strong connection with the elements, with her intuition, with the earth. Would it be appropriate for her to bring those more to the surface now, so that if she chooses to tune into that knowledge and wisdom, she will be able to pull it into her conscious awareness?
Most definitely.
So can you give her a sense or an image or an experience of that knowledge resurfacing, so that when she chooses, all she needs to do is just to reach for it with an intention, and it will become available to her?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. So one of Peg's questions is how she can best gain clarity on a path or on the next step that she needs to take. If there are challenges in the way, she becomes uncertain of whether she should persist and overcome the challenges and keep going in that direction, or if the challenges mean that her decision is the wrong one and she's going in the wrong direction. So she really just wants to be able to get the guidance about the steps that she's pursuing. So what can you tell her about that?
Her knowledge of when something is right is more developed than her knowledge of when something is wrong. So instead of trying to figure out if something is wrong, she should feel for what is right. That would be easier. She has a very strong sense when something is aligned. It's a subtle difference, but it's very powerful, and the body will tell you if it's right.
So is it possible that she may feel that something is right and there would still be challenges in the path?
Yes.
Okay, and as long as she feels that it's right, then she would persist.
Correct. If she feels that it's right, then she can still be in the flow.
Okay. So she has been recently developing a phobia of driving on highways. If you could tell us how to address it.
Interestingly enough, it's not a safety issue, it's a freedom issue. There are two things. One, can be solved energetically. This is an energetic block. And also, it's expressing itself in this way because driving on the highway is very prescribed. You can't stop when you want to. You have to get off at the allotted places and you have to drive the allotted speed limit. And she's letting herself know that she requires more freedom. And it's a weird expression. The truth could still be there, but she could find a different expression for that without it limiting her ability to move about.
Is she restricted in her life?
She's not restricted in a classical sense. She feels restricted.
So what is the best way for her to feel sufficient freedom?
This is her superpower and her block. She's very in tune to what people need. She needs better energetic boundaries. She can be overgiving or leaking energy. She lives with 3 needy people, right? 2 of them are dogs. And then she's also got a handful of other people who depend on her, which is also good, not a bad thing. It's more of a sophistication of energetic boundaries would make her feel free.
So what is the best way for her to create that adjustment within her energetic boundaries? Is it something that she can do on her own? Or is that something that she should work with an energy practitioner to develop?
Both. One is more time alone in nature. She does that with dogs, but it's not the same. So more time alone, and then she did see an energy practitioner, but it was the wrong one. So just try again.
So once she establishes those energetic boundaries, then the fear of driving on a highway can subside and disappear because she won't feel restricted.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Now another fear that she has is around sleeping, because she wakes up sometimes feeling like she made a mistake or did something wrong. Can you help us understand where that is coming from?
She was aware from her early age that she was kind of different. She had a reoccurring nightmare about being on the other side of a bright light from the rest of her family. And a very scary voice would say, "I see you," to her. That's just an indication that she already knew at a young age that she was different. She felt different, awkward. And I think she could just sometimes attract funky energy because she was just transmitting.
So would creating those energetic boundaries help address this issue as well?
Yes, and stop resisting the otherness, because it's true. I mean, it's true for everybody. Everybody's other in this reality, but we're saying go even weirder. This is a unique life. She's created a life where she has a lot of personal, financial, physical freedom. And this would be a good opportunity to just go even deeper into the unknown.
Mm-hmm. So related to that, she has had vivid dreams, out-of-body experiences for many years. But then about 5 years ago they stopped. Can you tell her why that happened?
It's kind of like a little kid driving a race car. It's super fun, but not skilled. And it's like saving her energy from more serious work.
Good, so she doesn't have to worry about it.
Right. She hasn't lost anything. It's just time to step up the game. She's been a little too comfortable and a little lazy.
Okay, so my last question for you is, what is the purpose of the glimpses that we get beyond the veil if, when we incarnate, we forget who we are? Why are we given those glimpses into who we are?
It's a reminder to keep it interesting. Well, a lot of people are here just to shine their light. It doesn't really matter what else happens. Play the game, but shine your light. It's a pretty dense experience, a pretty intense assignment. Mm-hmm. So it's useful for people to be reminded of the bigger picture.
And I wonder if you could give a message to humanity in light of looking at the bigger picture. What would be the message that you would want to give?
It's working. There's so much hope here for everyone. There's infinite love, and it's never going away. And also trying to have as much fun as possible.
Anything you want to say directly to Peg as a parting message?
You help more people than you know. You can just walk into the grocery store and uplift the energy. It can be just that easy. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It's intentional but easy.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask now the higher consciousness to recede to where it belongs with much love and thanks for the help and information it has given Peg today.